Welcome to Townsend 505. I am Nicholas, and today me and Bryer from Breyer's Music Showcase we're going to be continuing off our Black Sabbath series. Saturdays with me and Bryer. If you look at the
Good old
thumbnail,
Sabbath Saturday.
yes, Sabbath Saturday. Sorry to anyone who looked at the thumbnail. I used the album cover by Adele because the album cover is a little evil looking, as you can see from Bryer CD. For the thumbnail, I used Adele. I don't know. I just thought it'd be a little less evil. But today we'll be reviewing their 11th album, Born Again. Anything you'd like to say before we start?
All right. So we are entering definitely the most fascinating part of this band's history right here. So as usual, gotta give some backstory, and there's a lot of it here. So of course, Ronnie left all because of a dispute during when they were mixing a live album. Live Evil is what it was called. And really, that was also a very funny experience because around that time, Ozzy, of course, by this point in 1982 or 83, I mean, he was already doing pretty good on his own. I think so. And he was also going to release his own live album at that point. And so they were kind of competing. So it was Black Sabbath versus Ozzy Osbourne. What a time to be a Sabbath fan during that time.
Yeah.
Um, and anyhow, yeah, the Ronnie and the rest of the band didn't get along during that period. So Ronnie left, and he would do really good on his own as well. He has his own solo band, which is really good as well. And so now Black Sabbath is left without a singer again. And so now they were like, well, what do we do now? And they actually started. They actually had quite a list of singers they were thinking of. David Coverdale was thought of. Of course, he would by this point he was in Whitesnake at the time. Robert Plant was also a consideration, and probably the strangest one is Michael Bolton. The Michael Bolton, of course.
Oh
This
my
was
god.
before he do great in the adult contemporary field. But yeah, definitely an interesting choice. I don't know how that would have gone. But anyhow, so now it's 1983, and now Tony and Geezer are kind of just like at a bar, kind of don't know what to do now. But then all of a sudden, guess who shows up? None other than Ian Gillan. Yep, the Ian Gillan, of course, from Deep Purple. Of course, by this point, Ian was long out of Deep Purple. And he's actually doing pretty good on his own right. He has his own solo band called the Gillan Band, and had some success. And yeah, their album got a lot of good reviews. And so at that point, Ian was doing pretty good. But he saw Tony and Geezer, and they were like, "Okay, let's hang out for a bit. Let's have some drinks." And so they all had this great time. They were drinking a lot, just laughing, and so it all kept going until the next morning. Ian woke up. He got a phone call from his manager, and his manager was like, "Oh my god, man, congratulations. I heard what happened. Yeah, good job, man." And Ian was like, "What'd I do?" And the manager was like, you joined Black Sabbath." And Ian was like, "What?" Because he, I guess, got totally hammered last night, so didn't really remember saying yes to that offer. But lo and behold, Ian Gillan was now officially the new singer for Black Sabbath. And it's kind of ironic because you know how I said that Ian still had his solo band? Yeah, he failed to tell the band about it, about joining Black Sabbath. And funny enough, the band didn't know about Ian running off until they saw like a magazine article. And now his band is like, well, what the heck? What about us? And yeah, that was the end of that band. And Ian has said that yeah, they haven't spoken since. But regardless, so of course they were kind of considering should they go on as Black Sabbath or should they form a new band? But ultimately, it just went down to being called Black Sabbath. And while they were recording, guess who also comes back? You have Bill Ward, who was absent on the Mob Rules. I guess he was a bit more sober. He was ready to record with the band, and he did. And sadly, Bill's soberness didn't last long because he would start drinking again after that, and he would end up leaving the band afterward. And of course, this album would end up being the last album Bill Ward would ever appear on. Um, so that was that. And yeah, so now let's talk about something very about when it comes to this album. There's one thing that people notice, and of course, it's this album cover.
It's an album cover.
It's something. There's actually a funny story behind this. So the person who designed this, he also was working with Ozzy Osbourne at that point, and this guy was kind of favoriting working with Ozzy more. And so when he was asked to do this album for Black Sabbath, he decided to kind of sabotage them to give him like the worst cover he can think of. And apparently the baby that they used is he actually took an actual photo of a baby from a hospital handbook or whatever, and just repainted it, made it red, make it look like a devil, and yeah, and then he just submitted it. And you know when they showed this to the band, it's always funny hearing stories behind it because Tony actually liked it. Like Tony Iommi really enjoyed the album cover, but when Ian Gillan saw it, he threw up. Like he did not like it whatsoever. But overruled, so they decided to go with it. And there you go. Now that's the actual cover. So that's the story behind it. And yeah, there's that. Okay, and then moving on, they did the tour. Of course, there was some kind of personality differences between Ian and the rest of the band because, of course, Black Sabbath's all this dark, gloomy, very doomy, all black sort of look. Ian is the exact opposite of that. He's kind of kind of not quite a hippie, but definitely more colorful, that sort of thing. So Ian had to buy dark clothes for the tour, which he didn't mind. Um, and
That
yeah,
sounds
there's
really
other
interesting.
stories. Yeah, and then there's the whole Stonehenge thing, famously spoofed in Spinal Tap. About in Spinal Tap they brought a tiny version of Stonehenge. Well, in real life, for that tour, it was actually too big that they couldn't really fit it on the stage, so they ended up dumping it in like a field or whatever. Let's see what else they have. And like I said, Bill Ward was not in the band when they got to the tour, but they brought Bev Bevan from Electric Light Orchestra to fill in, which was kind of another kind of interesting choice. But they got through it. And it's always funny because all this happening only happened in the span of a year. Like after a year, then Ian gets a call to rejoin Deep Purple, and so he decides to go for it, and therefore ending this whole lineup of Black Sabbath. And I've heard interviews that Ian, despite all this craziness, this crazy year, he has said that this is probably one of the greatest times he's had in his entire life. So that's kind of cool in here. And so yeah, after all that, that is the entire history of this album. And I'm kind of very looking forward to talk about this album because it's definitely one of the most polarizing albums in their discography. You have some people who really enjoy it, and there's other people who really hate it. And I have I've narrowed it down to three big critiques that I've heard people say about it, and I'll talk about them when we get to the track review. But I'm definitely looking forward to it because I've always enjoyed this album, and I know you kind of enjoy it too, and so it's good to give this album some more love.
I agree. This is a really good album. When I see people crap on it so much, it honestly bothers me because There's a lot of great music on it. Um, this isn't in like my top three Sabbath albums by any means, but it's up there.
No.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll say it now. From the 11 albums we reviewed, it's in my top five. Which
That's
most
good.
people might say I'm crazy for that, but then again, you're talking to the person who put Paranoid at dead last. So what do I know?
Yeah.
um, first track on the album is Trashed.
Trashed. All right. Right off the bat, time to talk about the first big critique people say when they say they don't like this album. Because you can hear it. The production's not the greatest. It's definitely um, very muddy, kind of muffled in some regards. Um, and that was even the band was kind of like surprised of how bad the mixing was. I heard Ian actually threw the album away when he first heard it. Like, what the heck happened here? But in I'll be honest, I think the muddy production works. I think it kind of fits the mood. It kind of gives it a more sinister vibe. Even though I think we've said that this album is not that really evil, but the production kind of gives it a more sinister, evil sound to it. And I enjoy it for it. I think it's pretty good. Again, I know it's not their best production, but I think it works to me. But Trash is a great opening track, I will say. Um, right off the bat, just goes straight in, and you have Ian Gillan just shrieking like he normally does, which I've always loved. That's one of my favorite things about Ian. I just love his shrieks and screams, just so awesome. And again, Tony's guitar playing sounds great, and Bill's drumming very heavy, and a great solo, very piercing solo too. Um, and yeah, it's just this very fun track, and this all came about because Ian got drunk one night and stole Bill's car and started driving around the property, just doing like these like derby things or whatever. So yeah, overall, very fun opening track.
I agree. This is a great opening track. I remember listening to this way long ago and being like, "This is a really good album." I don't know why it's hated. Uh, I go back to this album thinking like maybe my taste has changed. Maybe I was just overhyped. I still think it's amazing. I still think it's a great song. And you Sabbath fans out there who hate this album, give this another listen. Um, it's a great album. Next
Mm-hmm.
track on the album, it's more of an instrumental. It's like Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. Yep. Yep. Not much to say about this. It's like some of the other types of instrumentals. It's just an interlude. Not really much to say about it. It's just supposed to take us into the next track. It has a creepy vibe. It has some bass and guitar. Uh, like I don't know, it sounds like an echo on them, which again kind of fits the dark mood. But again, it's just not much to it. It's just a transitional piece. So yeah, it's definitely not one of my favorites.
Yeah, I agree. It's okay. Yeah, it's like yeah, like you said, it's like the other ones like Embryo, FX. It's like it's like one of those kind of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad, but it's okay. Next track on the album, Disturbing the Priest.
Disturbing Priest. All right. Again, now we're back to some good stuff. Again, Ian just runs out of the gate with a scream. I mean, he is. I mean, this is probably the most screaming I hear on with Ian Gillan. Um, and yeah, this was another one of those songs where. Okay, I think this is a good time to bring up the next critique people I hear from people who don't like this album is that they feel, Ian doesn't really fit as a Black Sabbath singer because he's more of he's not really a dark person. He's pretty like he's pretty flashy. He's definitely your more typical rock star, kind of always wants to be in the spotlight, that sort of thing, partying a lot, which is something that most Sabbath fans don't really do. but again, I think it works. To my ears, it works. Again, a little biased because I'm a Dylan fan, but and of course Ian's known for storytelling with his lyrics. Again, not very evil sounding, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, the song came about because this was during when they were rehearsing, and their rehearse space was near like a church, and so they would constantly get noise complaints from the local church. And so Ian was like, "Hey, make a song about that," and so they did, and it's a great one. Again, great drumming, more great guitars. The chorus is pretty memorable, very catchy as well, and they're playing with dynamics again, which is very cool. Um, and you wish we were doing Adele.
Sorry, Jason. I decided to do like a not so evil album cover, and I decided to put Adele because she's like a lot more less evil than that album cover.
It's more. I don't know. That's something I probably should have mentioned. Like when I see it's more stupid than evil.
That's true.
I really don't take it that seriously. But
Sorry.
anyhow, yes, no, you're good. But a really good breakdown. And again, going back to how I think the production just really works. It just really gives it a more, I don't know, darker sound to it than what it actually is. But yeah, another good song.
I think this is an amazing song. Um, yeah, this is like such an underrated song, you know. But besides the two instrumentals on this album, I'd say this is a really underrated album.
Mm-hmm.
I think it doesn't get enough praise, and I get the criticisms, but I feel like Ian Gillan did a great job at
Mm-hmm.
filling in Dio's spot. Bryer still rocking the shades.
Yep, still rocking. I should probably mention that I'm actually. We actually talked about this, and the real reason I'm wearing the shades is because I have a sty in my eye, and yeah, it looks horrible. So that's the real reason I'm wearing shades for now.
Yes. Yeah, this is an epic track though.
Mm-hmm.
Next track on the album is a 40-second instrumental, "The Dark."
Yeah, the dark
It's a track.
again. It's a track. It just blends us into the next song, which is
Yeah.
much better. It has a nice build up to it though, towards
Oh
it,
yeah, I
but that's
agree.
all I'll give it.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, it's a track. Zero, the Hero, close out side one.
Yes. This is actually the first song I remember hearing from this album. I heard somebody talk about it. I can't remember where, but I decided to check it out, and yeah, I was loving this. Again, just a really great riff to it, very heavy track, and again going back to their more doomy roots from like the early stuff. Um, and again, I think Ian just has a really cool vocal delivery on here, especially during the chorus. And the chorus just kind of just gets hooked. And I really love how you hear like a bell in between beats. Like you hear the riff like da na 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 ba. You hear that bell just ringing, and it's just like very cool. And some more great drumming from Bill on here. And yeah, great solo. And yeah, it's one of my favorites on this album.
This is definitely one of my favorites on the album.
Mhm.
It's up there. I was telling, like I said, I was telling a Bryer constantly. I'm ranking every Black Sabbath song as we go along, and a couple of these tracks are really high up on my list. So, especially one particular song on this album. But yeah, this is another amazing
Mhm.
song. Next song on the album is "Digital Bitch." That opens up the
Digital bitch.
second song on the first song on the second side.
Hmm. I mean, you hear this, you see the title, and it's like, yep, that's totally Ian would totally write something like that.
Yeah.
Um, yes. Um, I didn't write a whole lot about it, but I still really love it. I mean, it's just this very fun song. It's a good hard rock number. The riff is really good. Again, you have Ian's very tongue-in-cheek lyrics that he's known for, and again, the vocal melody of the chorus is so memorable as well. Like I always end up whenever I think of this album, that chorus just kind of rings out. Um, I'm not going to sing it because I know I butcher it, but still, it's a very, very cool song. I've always enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's an amazing song. This is in my top five. It's really really good. It's another banger.
Mm-hmm.
Next track on the album is the title track, "Born Again."
All right. Now we get to what I say. I guess you can say it's a ballad, in a sense. Um, and I love this one. This has always been my favorite on here. Again, I just love. It's a slower track, but it has this very moody feel to it, which I dig a lot. And this is where Ian really gets to show off his vocals on here. Like you can just I hear just the amount of passion he's putting into it, and I think he does a phenomenal job here. Um, again, just kind of again, I just love how he goes from his more regular voice and then he just brings it up to his more higher register. Just so fantastic. And I this is like I guess this goes to the third critique I hear. It's kind of similar to people saying Ian doesn't fit, but another reason people don't like it, they just don't like Ian's vocals at all. They feel like his shrieks are annoying, which again I never had a problem with that. I always prefer vocalists who like to scream and shriek because I think it's awesome. But again, that one I can kind of see. But like I said, it doesn't really ruin it for me. In fact, I love it more because of it. But yeah, this has always been one of my favorite songs on the album. So there you go.
Another underrated song on the album. It's in my top five. It's really good. Again, I don't get where people's criticisms are. This is a great song.
Hmm.
People should like look past Ozzy Osbourne and give these other singers a chance. You know,
Hmm.
especially Dio and Ian. Like I feel like Ian and Dio deserve much more love than they do. I mean, I know Dio's starting to get more praise.
Hmm.
I don't know. This is still amazing though.
Yeah.
Next song on the album, Hotline.
All right. Yet another song I always enjoyed. Again, just a really great riff here. Very heavy, a real headbanger type of song. Like you're just banging your head throughout this whole song. And yeah, you got more of Ian's more, his more, yeah, those type of lyrics. But still, just a very driving rhythm to it. The whole band's killing it. Very catchy. More Ian screams, great guitar solo. Yeah, always been a standout song for me.
Yeah, this is a really good song. Probably towards the bottom of my list, but I still think this is a really solid song. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, another really good song on the album. I don't really have a whole lot. I'm not really the best at describing things. I just like most of the time when I visualize what I want to say, but then like it doesn't come out as
Yeah,
descriptive. But it is
yeah, I've been there. I've been there many times. That's why I write everything down.
yeah, it is a really good song though. Uh, Last track on the album, "Keep It Warm."
All right, keep it warm. This is comparing. If we exclude all the instrumental tracks and just focus on the actual songs, this one will probably is kind of towards the bottom. But again, I still really enjoy it. It's still very good. I like the riff here. The drumming's very good, and the chorus is very good as well. I really enjoy the chorus to this song. Another great solo here. Again, just a very good way to close out the album. I think like the title says, it's kind of a nice warm way to go out, I think. So yeah, very good song.
Well, so Ian Gillan, thank you for joining us for that one album. Uh, to me, you'll never be forgotten about because you definitely left a mark on this band, and
Hmm.
I wish you made more albums. It's funny
Yeah.
because Tony Martin makes like the second most
Yeah.
Black Sabbath albums behind Ozzy Osbourne with his 9 albums.
Hmm.
To me, it's
Yeah,
weird.
I feel like they could have made another album, but like I said in the beginning, Ian got the call to rejoin Deep Purple, so maybe if that hadn't happened, then maybe they would have recorded another album.
Yeah.
But that's like a big what if.
Yeah, and then the next album, Glenn Hughes joins the band for that one album. So like
Yeah,
we got like two albums where it's just one. It's like two albums where it's like different singer. It's like you get like you get like three, like basically like four albums where it's just like you get like different singers.
yeah. It's of course what's funny is that of course I'll talk more about when we get to the Seventh Star album, but Glenn Hughes, he was actually the one of the people who replaced Ian Gillan when he left Deep Purple. So we went from one Deep Purple singer here, and now we're gonna go to another Deep Purple singer on the next one.
I haven't heard that album in a while. I remember thinking it was just an okay album, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's gonna be another album that's kind of polarizing among Sabbath fans. Of course, I see this one ranked a bit lower, definitely ranked low the most compared to Born Again.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad album, but I don't think it's like top tier Sabbath. But I need to listen to it.
Yeah.
Well, what are your top 5 songs?
All right. For this one, I'm gonna rank all the songs because it's only 9 tracks. It's not too many.
Fair enough.
So, number 9, I have The Dark. Number 8, Stonehenge. So of course the instrumentals are near the bottom. Number 7, Keep It Warm. Number 6, barely missing my top 5, is Digital Bitch. Number 5, Trashed. Number 4, Disturbing the Priest. Number 3, the title track. And number 2, Hotline. And number 1, Zero the Hero.
My number 25. I don't know what I was thinking. Blah. I'm not right today.
You shoveled snow earlier, so yeah, that's gonna do it.
Yeah. Number 9, Stonehenge. Number 8, The Dark. Number 7, Keep It Warm. Number 6, Hotline. Now my top 5. Number 5, Born Again. Number 4, Digital Bitch. Number 3, Trashed. Number 2, Disturbing the Priest. And number 1, Zero the Hero.
Very noted.
What would your rating be?
All right. So, yeah, this could possibly go up more, but for right now, we'll just say a solid 9 out of 10. Again, very great one, and again, I think you've said it, but yeah, definitely, this is probably one of the most underrated albums. I just think the songs themselves are very great here. The playing is phenomenal, and again, Ian's vocals just really do it for me. I've always enjoyed it, and I never had a problem with it. So yeah, it's gonna be ranked pretty high as well. Again, probably not top 5, but it's gonna be pretty high, I think.
Yeah, I'd give it. I was thinking originally to give it a 10 out of 10, but those 2 instrumentals kind of bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. I feel like that's fair for the album.
All right, cool.
My top 10 songs by Sabbath are now Die Young from Heaven and Hell, Under the Sun from Volume 4, Sabra Cadabra from Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Spiral Architect from Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Children of the Sea, Heaven and Hell, Who Are You from Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Zero the Hero, number 4. It's my 4th favorite Sabbath song. Born Again. Wishing Well from Heaven and Hell, Heaven and Hell from Heaven and Hell, and my favorite Sabbath song is still National Acrobat from Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. That song still is my favorite Sabbath song. So far, no other Sabbath song has topped that. So
cool.
Anything you want to say or add before we finish off for today?
Yeah. So again, tune in next week where we talk about definitely another one of those albums that is often seen as not one of their best. There's a whole history with that as well. So look forward to that.
Thank you guys for watching this video, and hope you guys enjoy it. And see you guys next week for 7th Star.